shocking allegations of voter fraud against the most vulnerable members of society. Reports that patients with Alzheimer's, dementia, or those with severe brain damage can and are being exploited. This is Jim Steen. His family is outraged now after they say he was forced to vote while living at a group home in Minnesota. Now, the group home's owner denies that charge. Eric Shawn has been investigating. Eric?
Well, Megan, Jim is severely brain damaged, and his family says he is a victim of voter fraud. He was taken to vote with other residents of his group home for the election last November, and now the county prosecutor has been investigating if there was any wrongdoing.
He was exploited. Plain and simple, he was exploited.
Jim Steen's father, Alan, fears his son and others like him could be used to swing elections. In an affidavit, he charges, quote, a voter fraud crime was committed. James is mentally incompetent and is very coachable. Jim suffered a traumatic brain injury in 1987 when he saved the life of his drowning sister, Heather. We sat with Jim and Heather and asked him about voting.
Who did you vote for?
Ford.
For Ford? You remember voting for Ford? You mean Gerald Ford? President Gerald Ford?
Jim said a worker from the home told him whom to vote for.
Did they move your hand or mark it for you?
No. They just told me who to vote for.
They just told you who to vote for. Did you know anything about the person you voted for?
No, I didn't have a clue.
You did not know is the answer? I did not have a clue.
Advocates say people with intellectual disabilities should not be disenfranchised.
People with disabilities, whether it's an intellectual disability, somebody with a form of dementia or Alzheimer's, could be exploited. However, just because somebody else might try or might succeed in exploiting them does not eradicate their legal right to vote.
In Minnesota, where Jim voted, only a court can take away a person's voting rights.
Was he told who to vote for?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
The group homeowner, Lynn Peterson, says Jim was not exploited and that he and the others were exercising their legal right to vote in full view of election workers.
I don't think I'd want a provider any different than me. I would want somebody that's going to be an advocate, a strong advocate for the people with a disability that have the ability to participate with the voting process or any other process in the community.
Well, in December, the county attorney investigated a similar voter fraud complaint about the group home residents and found there was no evidence of voter fraud. But Jim's father is now asking for a special prosecutor and is also demanding stronger legislation to protect vulnerable adults when it comes to voting. By the way, if you suspect a voting problem where you live, voterfraud@foxnews.com is our address. Megan.
Eric, that is a disturbing story. Thank you for covering it.
Absolutely.